Hi, writers. Happy Thursday. If you missed class yesterday or you did not watch the lesson for yesterday or you missed our live class, be sure to go back to Wednesday, January 13th, so you can start at step one for our new um, informational writing chapter books. If you are up to date of where you're supposed to be, great. Here we go. Um, so yesterday we started working on our table of content for our chapter books for our informational writing. And today what we did in class was we started by going into our breakout rooms and we shared with our classmates what our table of content looks like, what work we completed yesterday, to kind of get our mind back in focus of what we are working on. So I have my example right here of what I am writing while you guys are writing, and here's my table of content. And I'm still a little bit unsure of if I want to write about how to be a teacher or a scholar in distance learning. So I'm kind of still in between because I'm only a teacher. I could probably think of good tips for you guys as scholars, but maybe I should just write from the perspective of being an educator in distance learning. So I'm still kind of unsure of how I want to carry out my book. Maybe I'll do both. I'll just start writing and see what happens. But I was thinking for my chapter one, what I was going to do. Let me see if I can just zoom in a little bit. For chapter one, I think I'm gonna start at the night before I go to sleep. And that really it has me thinking about planning and preparing before I go to bed to be ready for the next day. Chapter two, I was thinking about like once the alarm goes off, once I hear my alarm, what are my action steps? What am I doing when it is time to wake up? Morning routine. So before I start with my classes, what am I doing? What makes me feel successful and ready for the day, and maybe some things that don't make me feel ready for the day. Tips to stay focused in class. And I think from an educator perspective, I have ideas for that. And even for scholars, like I think I have some tips that maybe could help students. And then lastly, once live classes are done, now what? So I was thinking for each one of these, that will be one of my chapters in my writing today. And so hopefully you guys all had a chance. Hopefully you can share with someone in your home or stop by for office hours if you want to share with me on what your table of content looks like for your chapter book, because you want to feel really good about it and kind of have a plan for where you're working. Once you have your table of content ready and you shared with someone in your home or you came to class, we want to, even before we start writing our books, I want us to start rehearsing what we're going to write down for each chapter. And so it's going to be important that when I put you in the breakout room once again, or hopefully you can share with a family member or someone with you, what are you planning on writing about for each chapter? Like, what is your vision? What are your thoughts going to be for that chapter so that when it comes to writing time, you're ready to go? So for myself, when I'm thinking about chapter one, the night before I go to sleep, I'm thinking about, do I have clothes laid out for the next day? And the reason why I like to lay out my clothes the night before is in the morning, especially before I've had coffee or anything to eat, I'm not really good at making decisions on my outfit, to making sure I look good and where my glasses are and do I know what I'm doing. And so to me, like laying out my clothes the night before just kind of helps me get going in the morning and ready to go. I would probably also say making sure I have an alarm set for the next morning is really important to being able to know I'm gonna wake up on time for work. And what else? If I'm thinking about the night before I go to sleep, I would probably say like I need to do some kind of like meditation or relaxation before I go to bed to help me kind of de-stress and unplug. I try and put my phone away from me so it's not going to distract me, especially um, when I'm trying to relax and kind of just like take a breather after a long day of work. I was thinking for chapter two, when I'm talking about once the alarm goes off, I have a rule where I try really hard not to snooze. And there's been lots of data, like scientific information, so maybe I'll include that in that chapter about how when you press snooze on your alarm, it tells your body that it's okay to go back to rest. And your body once you decide that in the morning, it keeps that momentum going for the rest of the day, even when you decide to get up. So I try really hard not to press snooze. I would also say that once the alarm goes off, pretty much my first step is probably to go to the bathroom and brush my teeth. And this goes to my next chapter of chapter 3 on my morning routine. So pretty much once I'm out of bed, I started to brush my teeth. I'm putting on the clothes that I had planned to wear for today or that day. I get my morning cup of coffee. I either have to refresh my curls or completely start from scratch, or maybe it's a bun day and I'm just not doing it. So I pretty much have to get my hair ready. I wash my face. Sometimes I have to take my sister to work, or I have to drive over to my dad to help watch my siblings. It kind of just depends on what day it is for what's going on. And then I always put an alarm for my classes or a morning reminder about what classes are live that day. And just make sure my laptop's all situated, that it's charged, ready to go for my live classes, my iPad's ready to go in case I do breakout rooms that day. And so that's part of my morning routine, making sure Rosie gets outside, my dog, that she has breakfast. So yeah, that's pretty much part of my morning routine, not too stressful or a lot, especially while distance learning and I'm working from home. And then tips to stay focused in class. Maybe for that section, I talk about not letting my phone distract me. I could talk about being patient with you guys as my scholars, as I'm waiting for you guys to respond to my lessons and my questions. Making sure the chat is on and that I'm staying focused on what is being shared on screen. Maybe also talking about how I have to stay active on Schoology to make sure I know what's going on over there, that everything is all good. And then maybe for the last section, we could talk about once live classes are done, now what? Maybe we could talk about like going to the different courses, even if you're not live that day, like readers on Monday and Tuesday to make sure you did your work there. Maybe we could talk about going to office hours to check in with your teachers, make sure your grades are all good, that you are on top of where you're supposed to be. So that what we started today in class, it was first we started with just talking about our table of content that we started yesterday and what that was looking like. And then the second time we went into our breakout rooms today was we were sharing, just like what I just did with my table of content, and planning what I was going to start writing. What we're going to do for the rest of the class today is actually start writing. So you're actually going to grab the box 8 lines and start getting down your chapters. Of course, if you have to move around and edit your table of content, that is 100% acceptable. And honestly, you should be. When we were looking at our table of content examples yesterday, we could see right over here, there were some mistakes. We were adding X's, we were doing some edits, and maybe you have to change around your chapters. Maybe you need to add more chapters later while you start writing and you're seeing that you are needing this information to be added. By no means is my table of content done and complete. It's very possible I'm going to move these around and add some more. So as you start writing today, go ahead and just start ferociously writing and go for it. Let's see what you can get done today. Make sure to submit what work you do complete, and if you are not feeling ready to submit by the end of class, that is totally acceptable. Go ahead and take the time you need. Just don't forget to submit it though, because you want to make sure you're getting credit for your hard work. If you have any questions, be sure to come to office hours and I will gladly support you, brainstorm with you, and help you figure out what you're writing and what you want your chapter book for informational writing to look like. Good luck. Bye.